In this episode, I'm going to give you my recommendations for week 18 of the fantasy basketball season for the Sleeper app. Now let's make some game picks. Welcome to the Game Pick Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Robbin Marx. You can connect with me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Game Pick Podcast. If you love points leagues, Dynasty, and Sleeper's new Game Pick format, please consider subscribing on all channels. And please stick around until the end because I'm going to share this week's Game Pick Sleeper of the week. Now, this show is going to be just a little different than what we've done in the past because we're back, with a video for this episode. And also, instead of me going through the players, and just kind of giving you some game picks for the week based on, what I feel, what you guys suggest in the comments. And I appreciate you if you've done that in the past. Today, I want to try something different. I want to look at all of these big time trades that we had. We had the Harden deal. We had, we had the Indiana Pacers and Sacramento deal. We just had some really major trades occur in the NBA during this last trade deadline. And I wanted to see if, with my device, go through and kind of look at what people are doing for next week. Now, just to give you the disclaimer, unlike most platforms, for example, ESPN, Yahoo, their standard for All-Star Week or All-Star, the weeks of fantasy during All-Star is to combine week 18 and week 19. So what happens is your week 18 and 19 are combined. So your week 18 is really 2 weeks, where for Sleeper, and again, this is my first year playing Sleeper, they actually do it according to the normal calendar. And it makes sense because unlike a traditional platform, you don't have to, try to play the streaming game. You don't have to play the waiver wire game because every player gets one game per week. So that's what makes it unique. So this is going to be fun. So what I'd like to do is kind of talk about the first big trade, which was the James Harden and Paul Millsap getting traded to the 76ers from Brooklyn, and the Nets receiving Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and two draft picks. So we're going to look at Harden first. So Harden, obviously, many of you have Harden on your team. For week 18, he has 2 available slots to play. He's going to be available for the Tuesday game. If he's healthy, he can play on the Tuesday versus Boston, and he can play on the Thursday at Milwaukee. So for me, just looking at the projected point totals for him, Thursday is a higher projected point total in Sleeper. I lean towards not just going according to what his highest projected point total is, because home games play a role into it. Also, back-to-backs play a role. So I believe these statistics, although are a good starting point, are not necessarily like the end all be all. So for me, I think his debut, like if he plays on Tuesday versus Boston at home, which is a conference rival. So for me, my game pick for James Harden would be the Tuesday versus Boston, Bing bang. So let's talk about the next player in that trade that really matters, which is Ben Simmons, right? Ben Simmons is coming over to the Nets. He has new life. This is an opportunity for him to really, show what he has after being kind of like, left out to dry by the media, by the NBA, by fans, everything. People are mad at him in Philly, and now he has a new start. Don't get me wrong. Being in New York, it's tough. It's a tough market to, not perform, to like not really show up. People are going to really ride you. The media is going to roast you, but let's hope that he does well. So Ben Simmons for week 18 has 2 opportunities to play. He has an opportunity to play on Wednesday at the Knicks, a home game. I mean, not a home game, an away game in New York. and then also Thursday versus Washington. Here on Sleeper, it's worth noting that they're saying that his projected point totals for both of those games are 0.00 points, meaning they don't think he's going to play. And there have been some reports that Ben Simmons would actually not play until after the All-Star break. So let's hope that he gets an opportunity to get in the game. But if he doesn't, that's just unfortunate, and we'll just have to wait it out. So let's talk about another guy that's got moved to Brooklyn, who is Andre Drummond. A lot of people are talking about Andre Drummond. I'm going to tell you for the record that I do not believe Andre Drummond will start. I could be wrong, but I do believe they're going to continue to roll out this hodgepodge mix of centers, including Claxton and Aldridge, and they're going to kind of give everybody 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 20 minutes a game, and kind of spread it out. So I don't imagine he's going to be Detroit Andre Drummond doing a 20 and 10 act. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do believe he will contribute on some level, but please temper your expectations in terms of what you're going to get from Drummond. So Drummond for week 18 is available to play on the Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'm going to say that his highest projected point total is the Monday versus Sacramento, but him playing in New York against the Knicks, something about that, I feel like he's going to have a big game just because it's in New York. It's his first time playing as a net in the Garden. And, that's a crosstown rivalry that, is always really, really exciting. I'm going to say my game pick for Andre Drummond is going to be Wednesday at the New York Knicks. The next player we want to talk about from that trade is going to be my main man, Seth Curry. So let's take a look at Seth Curry really quick. Seth Curry has the same games. They're saying that according to let me take a look. According to Sleeper, that he would be available for all 3 games, and his Monday highest projected point total is huge compared to the other 2 days. So when you're doing these, game picks, it's important to take a look at that. If you see, for example, let's say a player had 23 points as their highest projected point total, but then the next 2 games was like 22 and 21, maybe you could look at all 3. However, according to these scoring settings, and this league is not standard sleeper scoring, but he's averaging 27.93. I mean, he's projected to score 27.93 points against Sacramento, where his next game against the Knicks is 19.86. His next game against Washington, 19.57. So you see where I'm going with this? If there's a big jump, a 10-point jump, there's a reason for that. And that, in this case, I would choose the highest projected point total, which is the Monday versus Sacramento. That's my game pick for Seth Curry. So let's talk about another trade that really got a lot of people excited and, really shook up the league. It was one of the earliest trades. It was the Kings and the Pacers deals. So let's talk about one of my favorite players right now is Tyrese Halibury. And let's pull his stuff up right now, take a look at it, and see what our game pick for old Tyrese is going to be. So Tyrese Halibury for week 18, they only have 2 games during the week 18. And again, with Sleeper, unlike Yahoo and ESPN, they're not combining the weeks because players only play 1 game. So for him, he has 2 opportunities. His 2 projected point totals are pretty close. So the first game is Tuesday at Milwaukee. The second game is Wednesday versus Washington. First off, easy for me. I'm going to go with Washington just because playing the defended champs, even though their backcourt is, they've been kind of banged up at times, and they just had some changes with DiVincenzo leaving. And, Drew is not having his best year, but he's still one of the best lockdown backcourt defenders in the league. He's arguably one of the main reasons that they actually won the championship. So for me, I'm staying away from their backcourt. I would say my game pick for Tyrese Haliburton for week 18 is going to be the Wednesday versus Washington. Okay. So on the other side of that trade, let's talk about Sabonis. Let's pull up Sabonis and see what his options are. So Sabonis has 2 games off for week 18 on Sleeper. the Monday game at Brooklyn, and then the Wednesday game at Chicago. Both point totals are very close. So in this one, I really want to take a look at, this is in week 17, just to go back. They're on a road trip right now. So they played on Wednesday, this past Wednesday for week 17. Then they played Saturday for week 17. Then they have off on Sunday. Then they come back to play on Monday. So for me, they seem like they're pretty rested. They're traveling, and now they're kind of like getting some rhythm and some chemistry together with new pieces. And I believe Brooklyn is still banged up. KD's not back. This is a home game, so there's no Kyrie. There's no telling if Ben Simmons is going to start. So I'm going to say I would go ahead and just rock with Monday at Brooklyn as the game pick suggestion for Sabonis. Wednesday is not bad as well because I know Zach LaVine has been fighting some injuries, so he's been out of the lineup. So they might, things might be a little easier for them as well in Chicago, but considering the fact that none of the stars are playing on Monday, I would recommend for the game pick to go ahead and go with Brooklyn. Let's keep moving along and see what else we can look at. So another big trade came down between the Trailblazers and the Pelicans. And you know what they say about the Pelicans?
I like turtles.
They like turtles. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Pelicans, Cj Mccollum. So CJ recently got traded from the Blazers. And honestly, CJ has been like a great example of consistency in fantasy. When he's healthy, he's a consistent fantasy contributor. So for me, I love CJ, and I think he's going to fit well with that team. Some people have concerns about Brandon Ingram's output, and will he still be able to put up the same kind of numbers with CJ there? I do believe he'll still be able to provide some value. So for week 18, CJ's options are Monday versus Toronto, Tuesday versus Wednesday. So that's a back-to-back there. And then Thursday versus Dallas. Ooh, I like that one. So for me, I'm going to stay away from the back-to-back. Again, sometimes I'll pick games for the back-to-back. In this case, because on Thursday, they're playing Luka, and it's right before the All-Star break. He's going to have a big time rest after that. I don't think he's going to go to All-Star weekend and soak in all the festivities. So he didn't make the All-Star team this year. So who knows? I'm not sure if he's in the three-point contest or not. But either way, last game before your break, I say go hard against one of the best guards in the league, Luka Doncic. And Luka is not the best defender. So I believe that CJ will have an opportunity to shine there. So my game pick for week 18 for CJ McCollum, the Thursday game versus Dallas. On the other side of that, let's look at Josh Hart. Josh Hart came out of the gate swinging this week since getting traded. He's already made an impact. Anthony Simons looks good playing by his side. So I think Josh Hart is a player worth watching, and especially if if you have a player owner in your league that maybe has some doubts about Josh Hart, I would recommend trying to make a trade. So let's take a look at it. On Monday, he plays in Milwaukee against the Bucks. Oof, I would stay away from that. And then he plays Wednesday at Memphis against Ja Morant. So for me, both of those are not really appealing. However, if I had to pick out of a defense to play, I'd rather play Memphis's defense over Milwaukee, even though Memphis has been stout this year. They've had a really good defense, but I'm going to just pick the Wednesday game for Josh Hart at Memphis. My game pick is going to be Wednesday at Memphis. Bing bang. Okay. So let's move along and see if we can look up some of these other trades that went down. Let's look at the Caris LeVert trade. So Caris LeVert was one of the earliest pieces to fall. He got traded from the Pacers over to the Cavaliers for Ricky Rubio. So let's take a look at my main Caris LeVert. Oh, man, I love Caris LeVert. Honestly, man, I've been a big fan ever since he was in Brooklyn. I'm a Brooklyn guy, so I've always followed him. They only have one game actually. So Caris LeVert has one opportunity. So I would say the game pick would be the Tuesday game at Atlanta for week 18. Again, these unlike the games in Yahoo and in ESPN, they don't combine the weeks here. So it's one game, just pick the one game. So speaking of Atlanta, let's look at my man Trey Young. I love Trey Young, man. I've been honestly considering embracing the idea of being a Trey Young and Atlanta Hawk fan. Like, it's crazy. I mean, I've been a New York sports fan for all my life, but since moving to the Metro Atlanta area, the Georgia Bulldogs win a championship for the first time in 30 years. The Atlanta Braves win a championship after 20-something years. And now I'm predicting that the Atlanta Hawks are going to win. Now, mind you, I am a Brooklyn Nets fan. I love the New York Knicks. I'm Brooklyn first because I'm born and raised in Brooklyn. So as soon as them boys came from over the bridge, rode across the bridge like Tony Soprano, you know what I'm saying? Like, took the turnpike and came to Brooklyn, I'm rocking with the Nets. However, now I'm here, and some people say it ain't where you're from, is where you're at, right? So for me, I have to take into consideration that I love the Hawks.
I'm a chicken hawk, and I'm after chicken.
Oh yeah, the Atlanta Chicken Hawks. Anyway, so let's talk about it. Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 games the Atlanta Hawks have for Week 18, and Trey's highest projected point total is the Wednesday at Orlando, and that's about 4 to 5 points higher than the Tuesday game versus Cleveland. So he only has 2 games for Week 18, Tuesday versus Cleveland and Wednesday at Orlando. I'm going to have to go with the highest projected point total because of that big gap. So I'm going to go with Wednesday at Orlando for the game pick for Trey Young for Week 18. And let's go ahead and take a look at my main man, Jason Tatum, because I think Jason Tatum and the daggone Celtics have just been like really on fire. You know what I'm saying?
Irish spring, green.
The Fighting Irish Boston Celtics, the Fighting Irish. So here we go. We got Week 18 for Jason Tatum. We have 2 games, Tuesday at Philly and then Wednesday versus Detroit. This is a no-brainer. I'm going Wednesday versus Detroit all day. Detroit's defense Detroit is a mess. Not just their defense, Detroit is a mess, and they've been really bad. And honestly, they are just...
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
They stink. Putrid. Like, I cannot mess with them.
Bruh.
Really. Okay, so let's take a look at what do we got here? Let's look at the Knicks. Let's look at the Knicks. We got my man Randall. I know some of you guys are Randall owners out there. We'll probably do 1 or 2 more. And again, guys, if you like this format where I'm just kind of going through players as opposed to the way I've done it in the past with the audio podcast, and it's a video podcast and just, you know, a little more interaction. If you like the sound effects, let me know in the comments, because honestly, next season, I'm not sure if I'm going to do the weekly game picks because they haven't really performed as well as some of the other videos. But if it's something you guys want, I'll keep riding it out and see if we can build it up. But let's talk about my man, Julius Randle. So Julius Randle from the New York Bing Bong Knicks.
Bing bong.
2 games, Monday versus OKC and Wednesday versus Brooklyn. I'm going to take that crosstown rivalry every day, all day. Give me the Wednesday versus Brooklyn for the game pick for Julius Randle. And let's do 1 more. We're going to do DeMar DeRozan because I love me some DeMar DeRozan. And so, you know, we got to talk about the Bulls.
Michael, don't leave me here. Michael, help me.
That's how people act when Michael Jordan comes to town. Anyway, so DeMar DeRozan has 2 games. He has Wednesday versus the San Antonio Spurs, and then he has a Wednesday versus the Sacramento Kings. The point totals are pretty close. The Wednesday is a higher projected point total. Honestly, this is a throw-up for me, a toss-up for me. I lean towards Wednesday versus Sacramento just because, you know, they had all of those trades. We're talking about De'Aaron Fox. You know, maybe let's go with the Wednesday versus Sacramento as the game pick for DeMar DeRozan, okay? This week's Game Pick Sleeper of the Week is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play fantasy sports, including best ball, daily drafts, and pick'em. Start drafting in minutes for a shot at big cash and an enhanced game-watching experience. Did I mention that Kevin Durant and Mark Cuban invested in Underdog? Once I heard about those cosigns, I had to spread the news. Sign up today and use the code GAMEPICK Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. It's like getting free money. Don't miss out on your chance to double up from the jump. To sign up, just download the Underdog Fantasy app on Android or iOS. Now, the Game Pick Sleeper of the Week is going to be my main man, Davion Mitchell. So Davion Mitchell is someone that we're watching because since the Sacramento Kings shipped out my man Tyrese Halibury, now somebody has to fill that void. There are a lot of guards in Sacramento right now, but I believe Davion Mitchell is going to be the guy to carve out that role as a starter in the backcourt. So for week 18, Davion Mitchell has 2 slots available, Monday at Brooklyn and Wednesday at Chicago. My game pick for Davion Mitchell is going to be the Wednesday game at Chicago. If I didn't mention your player, please drop a comment with your request. Please join our brand new Discord server if you need help with game picks, trades, dynasty questions, team names, the works. To join the server, just visit bit.ly/GamePickDiscord. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, share with a friend, hit us with a hacksaw Jim Duggan, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Last thing, if you want to support the Game Pick podcast so we can continue to pump out league-winning content, please consider becoming a Patreon member and get tons of exclusive benefits, including our monthly dynasty rankings. For more information, please visit patreon.com/GamePickPodcast. Thanks for joining me. I hope you absolutely crush your league this week. Now get out there and make some game picks.